I want to see how much you disagree with this video. What's the video? Let's find out. Wait, I actually was gonna watch this. I didn't save the link. Oh wait, this is 2 months ago. Wait, this isn't even about Kiwami 3. No, okay. Is there like a... Look, I would be happy to watch this video, but like, maybe this includes some Kiwami 3 stuff, but like, people don't know, like, this video is not going to include the recent stuff, where they cut... Okay, for anyone who doesn't know, they cut like 75% of the sub-stories. Just to be a part of his videos where he showed Pot agreed to an empty... Oh, you've literally seen the videos. Yeah, that was in the first one. There's a follow-up video about Kiwami 3. Okay, of course there is. RGG just killed Yakuza. Okay, you know what? I am not happy about the direction. I am not happy about the direction that... Especially Kiwami 3's gone. Cutting 80% of the sub-stories... like the replacing of Dikia's voice of his like face model. Not just that, they cut the wrestling match. The wrestling match between Kiryu and Dikia is gone. It's done. Donezo. It's not in the game anymore. They retconned Mine's death. The director, producer, whatever the fuck he is, he wants to, like, create a retcon. So you know what I think? Do you actually want to know what I think's gonna happen? I think that it's pretty clear with what happened with Infinite Wealth. I think that the guy who's running it now is terrified about sidelining Kiryu. That's what I think's happened. Ichiban was supposed to become the new main character. We had one Ichiban game, and then it's like, oh, Kiryu's back. And he's like, an important main character. Half the game's about Kiryu now. Okay, sure. Anyway, let's have a look, and I'm sure we're gonna have some fun stuff to say. I don't know if this is gonna talk about... I know some people don't like the remakes, the Kiwami 1 and 2. I personally enjoyed them. Granted, I haven't played the original PS2 games, but I have heard the original PS2 games actually are really good. So, yeah. Anyway, Yakuza's downfall needs to be studied.
RGG Studios have been my favorite game developers for years now.
I think there are a lot of people's favorite game developers up until maybe like a month ago. Maybe a week. Maybe like 3 days ago. Maybe until we saw the reviews for Kiwami 3.
And lately, it feels like they're trying their absolute hardest to make me change my mind on them.
Wait, is that the... That is the music from the dress-up section of Yakuza 0, like in the club with the bar that you run, yeah, that one.
I got into the Yakuza series with 0, and while I went in expecting just pure chaos and silliness, what I got on top of that was a massive variety of minigames, a thoughtful and emotional crime drama, a portrayal of Japan that was both goofily exaggerated and immersive. It was instantly one of the weirdest and most perfect games I'd ever played. I quickly moved on to the Kiwamis, then 3, 4, and the rest of the series, and I was not let down at any single point. Not until Gaiden, but we'll talk about that later.
I haven't actually played Gaiden yet. I've heard a lot of... I know a lot of people liked Pirate when it came out, but I've heard kind of mixed things in, like, more recent months.
For the past few years that I've been binging these games, I've quite literally been eating good. RGG has such a consistently quality catalog of games that I felt they could do no wrong. Their reusal
And then Sega said, hey guys, we want to turn you into a yearly studio.
assets meant that they could put out new games faster than pretty much any AAA studio. Normally, I'm not a fan of annual releases for stuff like COD or whatnot, but RGG was doing it in the most tasteful way possible. They were still adding new mechanics and mini-games with each entry. Their writing was always exactly what I wanted and expected, and the fact that they reused maps and assets built a sort of familiarity in me. Kamurocho, Sotenbori, all those places started feeling comfortable. But something has changed. RGG are no longer the saints that everyone saw them as, and that's due to their repeated errors in judgment. Starting with the Kagawa controversy, which is obviously the biggest
You want to know a fun thing about the Kagawa thing? This is how little people actually are. This is how little they care about it. They did an interview. The English subtitled version of the interview, they cut Kagawa's segment. In the Japanese version, it's still there because the Japanese players don't care. There's not even a controversy in Japan. It's just it's not a thing at all.
That RGG is catching shit for right now. Just a quick summary in case you're not aware. For the upcoming Kiwami 3 game, they recast Hamazaki's voice actor to a guy called Kagawa, who assaulted a hostess in 2019, I think. This has led to the whole community being outraged at the devs and bombarding their social media posts with #RemoveKagawa. This situation feels like it goes against everything that RGG stood for. We've seen so many big game studios make very similar mistakes like this, where they got caught doing some weird shit in the workplace or hiring someone problematic. But none of those hit quite as painfully as this Kagawa controversy does. It feels like a betrayal of everything they've established in their games over the years. RGG have never been afraid to reveal what they think about certain things, and assault is something that they've always very deeply condemned multiple times, but the main one being that in the very first Yakuza game, Sohei Dojima gets killed at the start of the game because he was attempting to assault Yumi, and he is clearly portrayed as a villain. He's not portrayed as someone that didn't deserve to die. I don't think any of us felt any remorse for him after we'd heard about what he had done, and RGG Studios created this safe space for very like-minded individuals. Like, their games have also had a lot of commentary on things like trans.
Speaking of the content that was cut from Kiwami 3, that's another new drama. This is one of the this is one of the ones that was cut.
People
and this was actually replacing an older sub-story that they cut. So the original Yakuza 3, they had like a how would you say it? They had like a One Piece trans character. Then for the HD version, they cut that, added this one. Then for Kiwami 3, they've cut this and added nothing.
Kiryu actively defending being who you want to be in life because it's your life. That kind of stuff. That's the kind of audience that they garnered.
To be fair, they cut basically everything, so
just hurts so deeply is because it implies one of two things. Either RGG have never believed the ideologies they've been spouting in their games.
Never. Here's a good bit of advice. Never base your worldview on the views of a company. Doesn't matter which company it is. Companies like money.
Or they can turn a blind eye to bad stuff as long as it benefits them. And the other thing that confuses me about this is they have fired people for way less. There has been multiple instances of voice actors getting kicked off projects for a minor drug scandal or something like that. And while I don't want to blame...
Look, a drug scandal in Japan is like even like marijuana in Japan. Like that's like career ending.
an entire country for it. I feel like this is a very Japanese business type of thing to do, because it's happened time and time again with the Japanese studios where they will forgive people with assault records, but they will not tolerate stuff like being impolite or doing drugs or something like that. It just feels like they have their priorities completely wrong. And I hope you don't take that the wrong way. I am not insulting the country of Japan. I am just observing a pattern
doesn't matter
I've
what country they're in
several times before. RGG have also got their monetization bullshit they've been pushing hard lately. Harder than usual, I mean. The monetization stuff on its own is whatever, but it points to a bigger problem with where RGG and Sega are heading. The big drama was...
I'm curious how much of it is RGG, like on the monetization front, I'm curious how much of it is Sega and how much of it's RGG. Because I can't imagine that they wanted, like, so RGG doesn't just do Yakuza. They have Yakuza, they have their new title, Stranger Than Heaven. They also have, Virtual Fighter? Is it Virtual Fighter? I think, sorry, RGG, is it... Yeah, they do Virtua Fighter now, and also they have Monkey Ball. I think they're working on a new Monkey Ball game as well. So like they have a lot going on. You think Nagashi leaving caused the games to suck? I think that Gang of Dragon looks very interesting. And I will certainly be taking a look at Gang of Dragon when this comes out. Is it gonna be great? Who knows? It kind of feels like, you know, what if Yakuza was serious? Because Yakuza's always like the tone of Yakuza has gotten like funnier over the years, but that has been kept to the sub-stories. A lot of the silliness of Yakuza is kind of creeping into, like, the main segment now. This, I feel like, is, like, a real pullback to, like, let's do like, a serious... Maybe serious isn't the right word, but, like, let's take a Yakuza movie and then turn that into a game, right? Like, a minigun is stupid, right? And having some, like, crazy sports car is stupid. But it's like, it's like that Yakuza TV drama kind of stupid, rather than Yakuza stupid. Like, Yakuza, the game stupid. I've heard very silly things about Yakuza. I love Yakuza, at least up until what I've played. Yeah. The guy in the video talks about... Tone? Tone? What is tone? Talks about the tone. Okay, yeah.
Infinite wealth locking
Sorry,
New Game Plus behind a paywall.
Oh yeah, this is another thing. Locking New Game Plus behind a paywall. I don't care about New Game Plus, but that is actually like that's just stupid. Why would you do that? That is just a cash grab.
And I'm pretty sure it's still like that. I don't think they ever fixed it. I'm playing through Infinite Wealth right now, and I promised myself that once I finish all the mainline games, I'd replay them all on New Game Plus. So having to pay extra money for a deluxe edition just to access a feature that's been...
And the problem is, until they stop selling it, they'll keep doing it. So don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't do it.
Been in every other Yakuza game for free? That's some bullshit. Listen, cosmetics and outfits behind a paywall? Fine, I don't care. They don't affect my core experience. But New Game Plus is a default-ass feature. It's been in these games so many times before. Suddenly charging for it is just so scummy. And that's what bugs me so much about modern RGG. They're getting way too corporate. It doesn't feel like they care much about writing good stories or creating shit anymore. It feels like they're just after our wallets. And I can't blame a business for being a business, but it does feel like a very drastic change they've had recently, right? Not to mention the recent...
I don't know if this is gonna be after this happened, but Sega had a big restructuring. And is that part of it? I would be surprised if it's not.
controversy of them delisting Yakuza 0 of all games, forcing newcomers to buy the director's cut, an overpriced and arguably worse version of the original in some
They're doing the same thing with Kiwami 3 and the original Yakuza 3 HD.
regards. Delisting games has always been a scummy thing. Even the biggest corporate bootlicker wouldn't be able to give me a good reason why removing a product from the store page needs to happen. This just reinforces what I'm gonna talk about a lot in this video, how RGG is heading in a very corporate direction and keep making all the decisions that would probably please a shareholder, but not a customer. One thing that I always felt weird.
Do you know what game Nagoshi left after? Let's have a look. Let's find out. Toshihiro Nagoshi. He left after Lost Judgment. And isn't it very interesting that the tone of the series, and I just said he's going to get to this, isn't it very interesting the tone of the series drastically changed after this point? Very, very interesting. Intriguing, one might say. Now, do I think he is the only voice that was involved in the game? Of course not. But it is very, very interesting that the tone of RGG games completely changed after he left.
About was the XQC and Drewski promotional stuff. As Infinite Wealth was coming out, RGG sponsored an XQC stream and gave him, I think, early access to Infinite Wealth. And to provide context, XQC is not really a story game type of person.
No.
He is more of a competitive multiplayer type of guy, and because he's not that type of person, the majority of his audience are also not into single-player story games, which Yakuza Infinite Wealth is. And it just makes no sense from a business
I guess
perspective.
it's just like, give it to someone, like, give it to the biggest name possible.
To sponsor an XQC stream, it feels like they didn't think it through anymore.
Also, that's great. 2.1k likes for a channel with 2.45 million subs. I don't need to see the view count to know that did real badly.
Then, oh, this guy is the biggest streamer around. Let's pay him so we can get all the attention. I really highly doubt that most people into XQC streams are going to go out and buy Infinite Wealth after seeing him play it. Especially since he just didn't understand the combat, he didn't care for the story, he had no passion for this game. Why on earth would that convince his audience to go out and buy an 80-hour JRPG? It just feels like yet another betrayal, because RGG Studios have such a devout fan base and they have so many niche content creators that love their games that they could have sponsored for this.
It's not even like niche you need to. There are big channels that that you can go to. Like
Instead, that way it would reach their core fans and show support for the creators who have been covering their games for so many years. But instead, they chose this shit. It feels like they're trying to take Yakuza in a very mainstream direction, but they're super oblivious about how to make it happen. The Drewski promo thing as well. Comedian guy you might have seen around, Drewski was featured in an ad for Infinite Wealth. And it makes no sense why they would do that. He has literally nothing to do with the Yakuza games. There is zero correlation. If they wanted to make some more ads, there was always, Danny fucking Trejo, who is actually in the game.
do you want to know another way they could have done an ad? You know who else is in the game that also has an audience? There's a certain dragon that they could have used an ad for. That's certainly an option.
believe it was purely for the fact that Drewski was really blowing up at the time, and all that RGG saw were the numbers. They think it's enough to sponsor random celebrities and hope for the best. It feels so similar to how AAA studios think pouring money into any old IP will guarantee success. The tonal shift that recent RGG games have had is also another thing I'm not a big fan of. People have been saying
I guess why Mark Hamill?
That the games are getting too silly, and that silliness is starting to outweigh the serious crime drama stuff. The older games had a balance, which feels like has slightly tilted on the scales recently. I loved Yakuza 7. It was a breath of fresh air and a nice break from the fucking massive Kiryu saga.
Did he play Mudgy? I don't play dub. I didn't know he does the voice of Majima. Okay, yeah, sure.
But hot take, the story was weak compared to other entries. What carried it for me were the characters. They were so charismatic and funny, and going on this journey with a group of friends felt awesome. But the actual plot was all over the place. It feels like it didn't know what it wanted to be. Individual scenes and arcs were all well written, but if you zoomed out and looked at the game as a whole, it felt like it was a bunch of short stories squashed into one big game. Some of you might say that makes sense since it's Ichiban's story and he's not as serious as Kiryu, but I still think the silliness got a tad bit out of hand. I haven't played Pirate Yakuza yet, but from what I've heard, it's basically a Yakuza game without a story. Some people might be happy about that, but to me, that feels like a cheap excuse for not putting in effort. I've heard there's nothing of value story-wise, and even though I'm excited for these Gaiden spin-offs like this one, I don't think story should be sacrificed just because it's a silly side game. You're still charging money for it, so you shouldn't be allowed to slack on the writing. It feels like recently RGG has become aware of Yakuza's reputation as this meme, no context, silly series.
Yeah, do you know what? Do you know what actually perfectly sums that up? Mine's karaoke. Mine's karaoke is the perfect example of that. Let me find it. Here we go. Here we go. It's the dub. Can I skip to the JP version? Can I not listen to the English voices, please? Is there any reason why Mine is singing Bakami Tai besides Bakami Tai funny song? Like, they know Bakami Tai funny song, and that, like, I feel like they've kind of overdone the bit with Bakami Tai.
And they're leaning into it hard. I'm sure you've seen the "what is Yakuza even about" comments, and I have a theory that RGG are looking for more of that. I've seen many people have the take that Yakuza isn't about the main story, and that just makes me so mad as someone who has continued to invest time in this series for all these years because I love the story so much. I have shed many a tear for these games. I want to know where Kiryu and Ichiban go next, what they discover about themselves, the people they meet on their journey. Yakuza is such a great series because it spans years and years, and you can see the evolution of not just the characters, but the world and the different factions within it. Having the opinion that Yakuza's appeal doesn't come from the main story just feels like you're not a true fan. You're here because you saw some funny clips on TikTok and the silly pirate guy. I'm still really optimistic about Stranger Than Heaven, but I can't say the same about Yakuza.
What I hope with Stranger Than Heaven is like a... like, they ground the story a bit more. That's what I hope they do with it. They bring it back down. They bring it back in line with, like, you know, Yakuza 3 level of silliness. At the most, Yakuza 3 level of silliness. You might even go, like, full serious with it. and just, like, see how that does.
Than heaven, but I can't say the same about Yakuza. With the direction that they've been heading in since Like a Dragon, they're kind of losing me as someone who enjoyed the more serious tone of the Kiryu games. Some of you might love this new direction, and that's totally fine. It's all a matter of preference. And to clarify, I'm perfectly okay with RGG's comedy. I'm no party pooper, but it feels like for a while, certain parts of Yakuza games that I've loved have been getting toned down. I love Ichiban's games, and seeing his dynamic with Kiryu is super interesting, but I don't think RGG should be scared to sacrifice some of the serious writing just because Ichiban is not a serious person, you know? Plus, the Zero Director's Cut obviously has the retcon bullshit, which is just another sign that the devs are scared to be serious with their games. They want their stories to be as low stakes as possible, and while I wasn't initially pissed off about certain retcons, it's getting to that point where it's a little bit overdone and cause for concern. And by the way, I would like to do something that RGG would never dare to do. I want to address the elephant in the room. There is this video by Charlie is Talking that just came out with a very similar thumbnail to this current video, and he also makes some very similar points about the tonal shift of Yakuza. I would just like to say, I did not copy this fella. I begun writing the script for this video about 4 days before his video dropped. Also, I did post these thumbnail concepts in a Discord server days earlier. I know it's not concrete evidence, but I shall just have to give you my word and nothing more. Great video from Charlie though. I recommend you check it out. And one more thing, this video is sponsored by myself. If my channel has made you feel some type of way, do consider checking out channel memberships to show support. There are a few benefits to becoming a channel member, which I will let you read about yourself. That's all, thank you. Gaiden was the first Yakuza game where I felt really quite cheated out of my money. The ending is one of, if not the best scene in RGG history, and it's not even close. But everything before that ending is super average. Sometimes just straight up boring or bad. The agent style kinda sucks. The side content is plentiful but very average for the most part. The levels that you have to fight through are generic looking. I think the art direction is super cool. The cargo ship place reminded me a lot of the Golden Castle from Yakuza 2, so of course I appreciated that. And the final fight is great, both thematically and mechanically, but the rest of the game is easily one of the weakest I've played from them. I'm not a big fan of Kiwami 1 either. It's one of my least favorite Yakuza games, but even that felt like it was trying to do something.
Again, I've not gone and played, I don't know if he's played the original, I've not played the original myself. I know there's a lot of people that really don't like the Kiwami games from the start, and would suggest that people go and play the JP voice version with the Ian text mod. Just go grab the PS2 copies and just mod those and play those.
Disliking it is not due to it being a bad game. It's still excellent, but more so it's due to it not matching up to my enjoyment of the other games. On the other hand, Gaiden is bad because it doesn't try to do anything. It feels like the first game where the corporate RGG symbiote fully took over, and a lot of you are denying how bad it is just because you like the ending. I get it, those final few cutscenes are absolute cinema, but come on now, it was such a pain to reach that point. To me, the last savior of modern RGG were the Judgment games. Lost Judgment is my favorite RGG game of all time because
I do need to get around to playing the Judgment games. I've heard really good things.
Well balanced in every aspect. It had the comedy, the drama, and thriller elements, the best Dragon Engine combat and gameplay by a mile, great side content, charismatic characters on par with Yakuza 7 and 8. This game didn't have a single weak area, it was just so well thought out and perfected. Hearing Judgment got cancelled was my first ever heartbreak in life. I get that they've got a lot going on their plate right now, mainline Like a Dragon games, Gaiden spin-off, spin-offs, Virtua Fighter, Stranger Than Heaven, but cancelling
Monkey
Judgment
Ball.
just kind of came out of nowhere and felt bad. For years, it was like the Half-Life 3 of RGG games, where everyone would talk about when Found Judgment would be announced. Seeing an official statement that we'll never get another entry feels like RGG is just digging themselves deeper and deeper into their grave, because they had this great world and characters that they're just abandoning. I've had discussions with people over the years theorizing about how Yagami would react when finally meeting someone like Kiryu or Ichiban, and while that still is a possibility, I'm afraid that Yagami will just be working a bar somewhere and have like 2 lines of dialogue. It just really sucks that Judgment ended up this way. RGG's annual release schedule is catching up to them. I've always hated when developers rush games out every year, but I never had a problem with RGG doing it because they were so consistently good. But now with Gaiden, Infinite Wealth, and Pirate Yakuza,
we'll watch the follow-up as well, but Kiwami 3, most of the game was outsourced. That's also what caused some problems.
all getting very mixed reception, it is clear that production is moving way too fast and the writing is suffering because of it. Kiwami 3 is coming early next year, and I've seen some of the footage. I think the side content looks really good, even by RGG standards. The whole orphanage section seems to have been expanded, and now it's more of a dad simulator than ever before, but they stripped out all of the style that the original had, and I cannot look past that. Despite being so old, Yakuza 3 was easily one of the best looking entries even to this day, and the remake removes all that flair and makes—
Where's the picture? HD remake meme. Where's the picture? I can't find the picture. Maybe Twitter will help me. HD remake meme. Come on, Twitter. It's not gonna help me, is it? God damn it. It's the picture where, like, on the left side, it's like clear, easy to read graphics, and the right side is like just hyper realistic face, weird, confusing lighting. Everything's way too bright and colorful. X Twitter.
It look like pretty much any other Dragon Engine game. I really have my doubts that Kiwami 3 will be anything more than average. I think they're just simply squeezing out too many games and are starting to get burnt out. I'm sure none of us would mind if they took a year and a half, maybe 2 years between games. Instead, they're sometimes dropping 2 games a year, which is just insane. I'll give them their credit. They've been doing a great job of it for a long time now, but their quality consistency is starting to jump all over the place. But even though I've got all these different issues with the state of RGG right now, I hate to say it, but they've got me in a tight chokehold. But they are testing my limits.
We'll see how much longer that lasts.
I'll probably still buy Kiwami 3. I'll grab it off CD keys or something. But it's just so annoying that they've got me locked in on this series, on this world, and all these amazing characters that they've created. I'll be playing purely out of habit because I have not been binging these games for all these years just to stop now. I made a video recently about how I'm not a fan of Nintendo. In that video, I talk about how Nintendo has a stupidly loyal fan base, which means they can get away with some terrible
Pokemon
business
as well.
decisions. But I have to be honest, I am in the exact same position with RGG Studios. They keep messing up, but I cannot stay away. I am a hypocrite and I'm not afraid to admit it. If you are curious to know why I've never been into Nintendo games, do check out this video and let me know your thoughts on this RGG drama. Do you think the disappointment is warranted or not? I'm gonna clock out now. See ya.
So that was made 2 months ago. Let's watch the follow-up to that was 12 days ago. For real though, getting XQC for a sponsorship is super brain dead. If it's not a shooter, XQC has no reason to be sponsored for it. Literally none.
Well, Yakuza fans, I'm afraid to say it's so over. Just about 2 months since my last video on the state of Like a Dragon.
And this is 12 days. This isn't even like the most recent stuff. Like, this doesn't even include, like, how bad the reviews are. Some outlets are giving this game, like, a 4 out of 10. And from what I can see, that's generous.
You might have seen it. RGG have gone on to make several more blunders which the community are not very pleased with. Some of what I claimed in that last video has been proven right since, concerning the quantity over quality issue, a disregard of their fanbase, and increasingly worse writing. So we're gonna talk about that all here right.
Oh yeah, remember how they said that Mine was gonna have a full-length game? Mine's segment's 3 hours long. Full-length game.
Now, starting with the Kiwami 3 demo. The first thing I saw people talking about was the graphical issues in the newly released Kiwami demo, and oh, it's bad. The series has had its ups and
It's not going to include the latest problem that people noticed. Let me give you a little fun for that one. Let's see. Where is the picture? I sent it to Ren if I can't find it here. Okay, let me find it from my messages with Mr. Rogue Ren. Where's my Discord window? Oh, it's over here. Okay. Okay. Where's Ren? There he is. Oh yeah, another thing they removed was Revelations. You know, the fun thing where it's like you fly over a car or something stupid happens. Yeah, so here we go. This is original Yakuza 3. You know, it's not the greatest thing ever. Yeah. It's aged. This is Kiwami 3. Where are the shadows? Where is the lighting? What is this? Huh? Huh?
and downs regarding visuals. Sometimes you get really pretty games, other times you get Kiwami green. So, there's some issues with
Oh yeah, this game also has that problem as well.
the lighting in the demo. Obviously, it's the demo.
Why can you look like
So we don't know yet if this affects a lot of the game or if it's just this specific area. But if you enter this shadowy part, Kiwami 3 does this cool little trick of turning into a mobile game. I personally don't get what all the fuss is about. I think it's
They did fix this one.
great that our
this was a bug, and this is the one thing they fixed. This is the one problem they fixed. Because this was undeniably a problem. There's like a cutscene that happens here, and you can see the color getting rendered properly. But in gameplay, yeah, obviously, it was cooked.
GG has optimized Kiwami 3 to run on smart fridges. Now, you could say it's cherry picking. Maybe this is in fact the only spot in the game where it bugs out like this. But I've got something to argue against that. I've heard the excuse thrown around that this is only the demo, it doesn't have to be perfect. But the demo is the exact thing that should be perfect, actually. People are forgetting
Why
what
is
demos
everything
are.
so
They are a
bright?
showcase, a trial that is meant to sell people on a game. If any
Why, like, putting aside the, like, fluorescent water, what happened to, like, the Yakuza 3 vibes? Let's just look up Yakuza 3 HD combat. What if I find an example that's during the day? Yeah, here we go. Putting aside it being Blockuza. Oh, this is actually playing well. Like, look at the vibes this game has going. And then it's like, yeah, what if we just got rid of all of that and just Dragon Engined it?
Part of Kiwami 3 has to be good. It's the demo. RGG also has a history of not patching issues out later, so in other words, what we have here is our first representation of Kiwami 3, and it's not a great look. But, you know, I'm not too bothered about it. I mean, it looks ugly as shit, but I can definitely let it slide. I'm sure the rest of the game looks fine. Kiwami Blue? That's what we're doing? When I first played Kiwami 2, I honestly believed that the green filter was some sort of fluke, just a one-time mistake that they couldn't
There actually are areas, if you come out of a store, the filter comes, like, if you're, like, standing in the doorway of a store, the filter actually comes off. The game looks so much better without the filter. Like, it's actually the fucking PS2 piss filter all over again. But this time, it's the puke filter.
remove or something, because it just looked so ugly that I wasn't able to understand the appeal. But now we know it wasn't a fluke, because they've decided to make this game overly blue. But it's not a sort of vibrant blue, it's a drab one that darkens the entire environment. Yakuza 3 is a game I remember for its warm atmosphere and colorful art direction. The bright beaches of Okinawa.
Yeah, 3 was bright, but it wasn't, like... 3 was bright. Kiwami 3 is oversaturated.
The gorgeous blue seas. You'd think that a modern day remake's first priority would be to capture that same beautiful direction, but no. Dragon Engine ruins everything because they couldn't even manage that, and it quite frankly confuses me because Infinite Wealth looks great. Why could they not do the same thing here? Why does it all look so dull? I'm trying to understand RGG here, but their decisions feel incoherent. They don't make sense. Who is asking for this filter? What does it provide for
Gotta
the
love Dark.
game?
That's
Now,
incredible.
don't get me wrong. Kiwami 3 does look really saturated at times, but it doesn't capture that same style that the original had. You see, RGG's new approach to getting colorful visuals is just by boosting the saturation and contrast to the max, giving the visuals this really strong and rough look at times. I can see where they were going with it, but it just doesn't look good, especially side by side with the original.
And the original was all, like, had this, like, in some ways you could call it a drab look to it, but it didn't look like, I don't know how to describe the coloring of this.
They were going with it, but it just doesn't look good, especially side by side with the original Yakuza 3. Believe me, I'm not the type of person to say that remakes are bad and originals are always better, but genuinely, if you place these side by side, I would tell you that the original has way more charm and looks less video.
Oh yeah, also, they did the Dragon Engine, Yakuza, Kiryu has too much, Botox, Yakuza fun thing, where they delete all of his facial animations. So when he's like super angry, he'll be like, When he's happy, he's like, That's all you get. Whereas original 3, like, you could like, it was like the PS2 games, where he actually showed his emotions.
Game me than Kiwami. How does a remake look less realistic than its 17-year-old counterpart? Where are the budgets at Sega going? Because it's definitely not Yakuza. I do believe this lack of care and disregard for the consumer stems from them trying to rush development. All these oversights that have been popping up in their recent games is because their priorities are all over the place right now. They're trying to juggle so many projects, and they're dropping the ball on each one. But, you know, while these are annoying mistakes, they're not deal breakers. RGG games all have their own quirks and problems, apart from Lost Judgment, so I can definitely forgive this. Is what I would be saying if it wasn't for the leaks. put your hand up if you like retcons.
Yep.
Anyone? No? Look, sometimes I can accept a retcon. Sometimes a great character's
You have something against Botox? Do I have something against injecting a neurotoxin into your face? Yes.
time is short-lived, and I'd like to see more of them. But I don't think that applies to Lau Ka Long, Richardson, or the Toko Credit President. And even if they retcon a great character's death, that's not a good thing either. Undoing your previous work breaks trust between you and the player. It makes future death scenes not hit as hard, if at all, and generally displays you as someone with no direction. No planning ahead. So with all that being said, what if I told you that RGG are retconning events from a 17-year-old game? Spoilers ahead for Yakuza 3, obviously.
Yep, because as we know now, they want to start a new continuity. This wasn't known when this video came out. It's known now.
But just to recap you on the ending, Mine, the Tojo lieutenant, sacrifices himself to defeat Richardson, pushing them both off a building to save Daigo and Kiryu, and in turn...
Do you want to know what happens now? We know what happens now in the mini playthrough. He falls off the building, lands in a bush, and just walks it off.
Redeeming himself. This was an emotional scene as Mine finally put his ambitions to the side to save someone he cares about, and this sacrifice said a lot about his character. RGG looked at this and thought,
but what if we brought him back to life so we can drive Kiwami 3 Dark Ties sales up?
That's right, baby. In a recent leak, we allegedly found out that Mine survives the fall by dropping into a bush. I said this last time, but they're clearly wanting to make Yakuza into a fully fledged meme series, and this is yet another example of that. Putting that aside though, Mine is recruited into the Daidoji and says this legendary line.
I'm simply another man who erased his name. Oh yeah, so the new continuity they want to work on is going to be focused on the Daidoji. Yeah.
Jesus, man. As you can imagine, the community is in absolute shambles right now because RGG have the audacity to see all the pushback against retcons and continue to do it in an increasingly egregious manner. The subreddit is imploding. My Twitter is full of actual deranged memes which have had me in tears. They're treating Yokoyama like he's the devil reincarnated.
And Yokoyama thinks that he is Hideo Kojima.
RGG is in such a weird place right now. It feels like they hit a switch recently and suddenly started making overly mid games. The decision to recruit Mine into
Nagoshi. Again, everything goes back to when did Nagoshi leave RGG?
The Daidoji is so baffling to me. I feel like that organization is starting to get stale. After playing Gaiden and most of Infinite Wealth, the members of the Daidoji are uninteresting, the whole premise of it is starting to feel overused, and I just generally think it's time for a new storyline and a new organization. The fact that Mine is going to be a part of it alongside Kiryu just feels like some MCU writing. No, RGG, after 17 years, we don't actually care to see what it would look like if Mine and Kiryu became best friends and destroyed criminal organizations with the power of friendship. RGG are so scared of committing to decisions on a level I've never seen before. To be undoing creative decisions from nearly 2 decades ago is just absurd. And it feels like they're only doing this because they don't feel like they can write characters like Mine anymore. So the solution is to pander with this fan service and hope people buy their new games because, hey, look, we brought back this character you like. We can safely assume that they'll bring back Ryuji next.
Imagine they somehow retcon Nishiki's death. Oh my, imagine they somehow do it. I don't want to tempt them because they're going to do it.
With how much people love him and how much he means to Kiryu's story. Oh, and we can't forget about
Someu.
He deserves a spin-off game. Are you starting to see my issue with this? Yes, I dislike the way that Mine survives by falling into a bush. That's fucking stupid.
It
yes,
is.
I dislike that he's recruited into the Daidoji for some fucking reason. But my main issue is that this sets a really bad precedent for future RGG games. From here on out, nothing they write will matter anymore. There's no stakes. Some people have speculated and even hoped that they kill off Kiryu at some point, bringing his story to
Again, considering we have the new Daidoji continuity, honestly, I feel like if anything, they're gonna kill off Ichiban.
a close and allowing Ichiban or other future protagonists to take his place. But that is absolutely not something RGG are thinking about. They will milk the fan favorites for all they've got. Even if they kill them off, they'll leave the door open just in case. And I haven't even spoken about the best part. In these leaks, it's also supposedly revealed that Mine is not the only new Daidoji recruit. Hamazaki joins up too. I literally have no words for this. I'm not hearing people talk about the Hamazaki stuff as much, which they should be doing because this has even bigger implications than Mine. At the end of Yakuza 3, Hamazaki originally goes to prison, which sets up the story for Yakuza 4 where him and Saejima team up and escape together.
Again, we now know why they've done that.
Now, I haven't seen the full leaked script, but presumably in Kiwami 3, Hamazaki never ends up going to jail if he joins the Daidoji, meaning that the events of 4 will be rewritten entirely. I may be crazy, but I don't believe that a remake of a game should rewrite the entire plot.
Final Fantasy VII. Welcome to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
But let me know what you think. I suppose there's also the possibility that he still does go on the prison arc, but only as a secret Daidoji agent the whole time, working to serve his Daidoji overlord, and also he may still have the death scene in Yakuza 4, but this time it's a fake death. Because he's like a secret agent and stuff, you know? I recently found out about how many RGG bootlickers and cooks are out there on the internet, and I presume that at hearing this news, they'll be saying, "But the original games still exist. No one is making you play the Kiwamis."
Well, about that.
And that's cool and all, but oh wait, they're delisting Yakuza 3 when Kiwami drops? Sounds par for the course. The only way you'll be able to buy the original digitally will be through the bundle, which I don't feel like a lot of newcomers to the series will want to do. If you're not sold on a series immediately, you're not going to buy a bundle of 3 games just to try it out, right? It's even worse than that. I just found out Yakuza 3 Remastered will be locked to the complete bundle, which is from Yakuza Kiwami to Yakuza 6, I think, and it will cost you around $130 to play the intended original story instead of the Kiwami 3 rewrite. I don't know.
There's still going to be console versions out there, obviously, and pirated. Yeah, you can pirate it, obviously. Yeah.
If this is Sega behind this or RGG, but whoever is there up top calling the shots is some greedy people. So newcomers will most likely end up paying for the inferior Kiwami 3, a version that rewrites the entire course of the story before getting locked into a Kiwami timeline that RGG have full control over and will continue to write bullshit in. Anyone that doesn't see the problem with modern RGG are the same people who only play these games for the memes. And don't let anybody tell you differently. The shit that the devs are doing have massive negative impacts on the writing. And if you don't care about that, then you don't care about Kiryu. You don't care about Kamurocho. You care about funny sub-story, and as long as the games continue to be goofy, then you'll be happy. And I also feel like so many of you OG Yakuza fans believe that your opinion matters more simply because—
Honestly, the more time goes on, the more I actually do have respect for the OG Yakuza fans who keep saying, go back and play the PS2 games.
because you played the games before others did, and that makes no sense to me. I don't know what kind of Reddit moderator mindset that is. Does that mean you also can't be a Christian unless you read the fucking Bible when it was first written?
True,
like,
brother.
what kind of thinking is that? That the new gen fans like myself shouldn't have an opinion on the series just because we didn't play the games when they were coming out? Please, explain that to me in the comments. Another thing, and this is old news, but the fact that they recast Rikia with a new face is just lame.
What? We don't know yet, but what's your bet that they keep him around in the story as well now?
Scrubbing all the identity that the original game had for some reason, almost as if they're ashamed of their past writing. No offense to whoever inspired this face change, but Rikia looks like an ordinary street—
No, like the guy who the guy they used for his face model, he is an amazing actor. He's not Rikia though.
thug now. He's lost that look of
Yep.
warmth and kindness. He has no visual distinctiveness anymore. He just blends into every other character. It sucks. I take no pleasure in making videos talking shit about RGG and my favorite video game series ever, but if I still had some hope left during my last video, I certainly don't anymore. If you are curious on some other issues I have with Yakuza, do check out my last video on it if you haven't already. I'm gonna clock out now. See ya.
I'm gonna go to the new comments. Let's go to new comments. It's FF7 remake, multiverse trash plot. Thankfully, we don't have multiverse ghosts yet, so, you know. Chill, bro, you're making me worried about Virtua Fighter 6. Okay, he doesn't have that many new comments, but yeah, things have gotten even worse since this video was announced. Oh, this video came out. So I'm not buying Kiwami 3. I was gonna buy it. I was gonna like stream it day it came out. We're not playing Kiwami 3. It's not happening. Yeah. Maybe I will buy it one day on sale, but I have zero interest in buying it right now. Yeah. Anyway. Another franchise down the drain? Yeah.